Hello everyone, this is Tamara Lankowski, and I just wanted to do a video on head coverings. I know it's been a long time since I've been on YouTube. So much has happened, and I'll share that in another video. But I just wanted to share with you what the Lord has taught me regarding head coverings. And this is not something I would consider dividing over or even arguing about. You know, I don't believe if you wear a head covering you're saved, but if you don't, you're not saved. I mean, the Bible doesn't teach that, not at all. But I do believe that when the Lord saves us, He buys us with His blood. We no longer own ourselves. Jesus owns us. So if the Lord owns me, I want to worship Him in a way that pleases Him. I want to worship Him in a way that He wants to be worshiped, not the way I think He ought to be worshiped, you know, and I believe the Bible teaches us about that. So I want to get into 1 Corinthians 11 to talk about it. Now, in verse 2, it says, "Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the traditions just as I have delivered them to you." Now he goes into creation. Now remember, he's talking about creation, not culture. So this is not a culture thing. When you read 1 Corinthians 11, it's very clear. Creation is what's the order here. He says, "But I want you to know," in verse 3, "that the head of every man is Christ, the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God." Okay? It says in verse 4 that every man who prays or prophesies having his head covered dishonors his head. This is why we see, like most men, when they pray, they take their hats off. Because when they pray with their hats on, it's dishonoring to the Lord. And then it says, "But every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head." So a woman who doesn't have a covering or a hat or a scarf or whatever it is, I mean, the Bible's not specific about what you're supposed to put on your head. But it makes a very clear distinction between a man and a woman. And it says, "But the woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. For it's the one and the same as if her head were shaven." So what it's saying there is, if you're not going to wear a head covering or a scarf or a hat or put something on your head, you might as well shave your hair at the same time. You know, that's what it's saying in verse 5. It says, "For a woman," in verse 6 it says, "For if a woman is not covered, let her also be shorn." Again, he emphasizes it again. If she's not going to cover her head, let her just shave it all together. And of course he's being sarcastic there, you know, but it says, "But if it is shameful for a woman to have a shaved head or shorn head, let her be covered." I believe the Bible is pretty clear that God wants us to cover our heads. Verse 7, "For a man indeed ought not cover his head, since he is in the image and glory of God. But the woman is the glory of a man. For man is not from the woman, but the woman from the man. Nor was man created for the woman, but the woman was created for the man. For this reason, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her head, because of the angels." Now, even scholars debate among this, and they don't know what it means. But for some reason, the Bible tells us that women ought to cover their heads when they pray or prophesy because of the angels. And then it says, "Nevertheless, neither is man independent of the woman, nor woman independent of the man in the Lord. For as the woman came from man, even so man also comes through woman. But all things come from God." Now, I want to go on and read this to you. In verse 13, it says, "Judge among yourselves." I mean, what's he saying there? He's saying, think about it. Think about it. "Is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a dishonor to him?" What is he saying? I mean, today every man, well, not every man, but a lot of men have long hair, and a lot of women think it's so attractive. But the Bible is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Okay, it's saying nature itself teaches you that if a man has long hair, it's a dishonor to him. What does that mean? It means when you look at nature, you look at the clouds, they're white. You look at the sky, they're blue. Nature teaches us that clouds are white, sky is blue, grass is green. It teaches us all these things. And so at the same time that nature teaches us that, it is also supposed to teach us that when a man has long hair, it's a dishonor to him. So, guys, I'm sorry, but as good looking as you think it is, you know, we need to worship God in a way that he wants us to worship him. We can't like our hair so much that we're not willing to cut it if we're a guy. And we can't like our hair so much that we're not willing to cover it if we're a girl. It's not about us. It's about God and how he wants to be worshiped. And then it says, but if a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given to her for a covering. Now, a lot of people read that verse and go, well, see, when a woman wears her hair, it's a covering for her. But if that's the case, then why did he say in verse 5, but every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head, she may as well shave it? Obviously, her hair is not a covering for praying or prophesying. The other thing I want you to think about is when men pray, they take their hats off, okay? If hair was a covering, then every man would be dishonoring his head by praying with a covering on his head. Because what does the verse before that say? Verse 4 says, every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head. So every man who is not bald is dishonoring God if they pray or prophesy with a head of hair. So I'm just trying to make the case that hair is not a covering. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.